website. It's ACGOP, Ashe County GOP, acgop.org, and there's a lot of information on there. Access to information about how to research your candidates, when the voting dates are, where your polls are, all kinds of stuff. So, that being said, at this point, we are waiting for Master of Ceremonies, who should be here shortly. Thank you. And there he is, walking through the door.
Okay, everybody. We all know it's a little slow. I'm getting ready to come by and give everybody a piece of paper and a pen. I need you to write a question for a candidate. I'm going to choose two for the judges, two for the county commissioners, two for the school board. So be thinking of a good question.
Okay.
Everybody understand that part? And I'd like to introduce y'all to Mr. Jordan, chairman of the Republican Party.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for being here for this.
This is the sign-in sheet. There's a sign over here for candidates. If you're just attending over here, and we'll just start passing this around.
Did I get the candidates to come up here? Let's get the commissioner candidates up here first in the middle. Other candidates on the side.
Questions that we're going to go through.
Okay, this is, I told you that there would be a handout with the information. These candidates were asked to fill out. Take one pass down, please. Would you like one? Love one. There you go. I'd love for you to. Thank you. I'll work the other side.
So if there's something you really want to know. If I hand these to you, will you hand them to
Before we get started, we do have some other candidates who are bigger than Ashe County. They've got districts. We've got two candidates who are judge. It's a 34th district, C2. So, y'all choose which one you want. They want to just say the level. They got to hit the gap, and they're not part of the forum, so they know there's.
Maybe you call the sheriff.
Hopefully
They had a golf. Is this all good?
Our first candidate is Andrew Warren.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Warren, one of your current District 4 judges. We represent Ashe, Allegheny, Yadkin, and Wilkes counties. I was fortunate enough to be chosen to replace Judge Brooks last year when he reached mandatory retirement. The attorneys had a meeting from all 4 counties, voted on 5 names to submit to the governor's office for appointment, and I was luckily and humbly chosen to represent this district to fill out the term, and I'm on the ballot in the primary in March. Before I got on the bench, I was in private practice for over a decade at the Crumpton Law Firm in North Wilkesboro. There I practiced in all areas of law, whether that was criminal defense, where I represented criminal defendants on misdemeanors, traffic cases, I tried out high-level felonies to the jury on multiple occasions. I also represented parents that were in custody disputes. So I represented them in custody proceedings, equitable distribution actions, as well as any sort of child support action. I also represented I represented parents whose children had become in the custody of the Department of Social Services. I did that in Yadkin and Allegheny counties and some here in Ashe County. I also, while I represented all those different aspects of the law, also traveled to all 4 of our counties in our district and practiced regularly, not only in Wilkes, but in Allegheny County and Yadkin County and here in Ashe. So on a given week, I likely visited all 4 counties. While I represented parents that were trying to get their children back from DSS, I had the great honor of representing those children in Wilkes County DSS court. So I was what's called the guardian ad litem attorney, so I represented the children and what was in their best interest. And that was one of the greatest honors that I had to do, or that I was able to do while in private practice. That vast experience that I had was the reason that I was chosen to replace Judge Brooks, and it certainly made the transition from private practice to the bench a natural one. A lot of times when judges are elected, they get to go down to Chapel Hill and get some sort of school before they take the bench. I was just thrown into it with just the experience that I had, and I'm thankful that I'd practiced in so many areas of law that I was able to just jump on the bench and effectively rule on cases. I said, I certainly understand the importance of the district court judge. You know, we certainly make decisions not only regarding misdemeanor crimes and setting bonds, but I said one of the most important jobs is deciding where children are going to sleep tonight. So when parents can't decide over custody, I have to make that decision from the bench. Again, when parents have abused or neglected their children, we as district court judges are the ones to decide if the Department of Social Services should take custody and whether those parents are able to get their children back if they've corrected the issues that brought their children into care, or whether we have to find permanence for those children in alternative placements such as an adoptive foster home, or hopefully with some sort of relative is their preference. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Our other candidate is Kelly Myers. Thank you for being with us.
My name is Kelly Myers. I'm from Yadkin County. I'm a lifelong resident of that county. My husband and I were both born and raised there. We are raising our 2 small children there, a 6-year-old little girl and a 1-year-old boy. I've been practicing for 16 years. It'll be 17 years this coming July. 15 of those was in private practice where I did own my own firm. I did everything from criminal law, family law, which is your divorces, your custody. I have done traffic law. I have done estate work with wills and powers of attorney and help administering and working with people executing those wills. I have worked in the domestic violence cases where people just can't seem to get along and it necessitates a little bit of intervention. I worked in child welfare law. For the last year, I have been the Yadkin County DSS attorney. That was a transition that I very much have enjoyed moving into the public sector, to be involved in our community and to help in that aspect. That was the big push between going from private sector to public sector, being able to really help impact our community. I have worked in all of the areas that our district court judges are going to see on a daily basis. And that is important because bigger counties, they have 1 or 2 judges that only hear criminal or only hear family, but our judges have to hear every area. They're going to do that on a weekly basis. So having that experience will really assist me in making that transition to the bench. And that's another way I can get even further involved in my community and help try to make a difference in our community. And I believe that giving people a voice, giving them a chance. Every case, no matter what comes in front of you, that person needs the opportunity to be heard. That's very important. And then I believe in the law, and I believe in the Constitution and applying those laws as it is written. We don't legislate from the bench in district court. We apply the law as they are written, which is very important. So I know you are very eager to get on with your program. I'm going to be around tonight. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would appreciate your support on March the 3rd. And I will point out that right now we have 5 judges. 4 are from Wilkes County, 1 is from Allegheny County. Yadkin does not have representation on the bench, so I'm trying to help my community by getting involved on the bench. So again, I would ask for your support on March the 3rd, and early voting starts on Thursday. So thank you very much. And if you have questions, you feel free to come up to me. I'm an open book. Thank you.
Thank you for visiting with us.
Thank you.
Some papers and pens were handed out about questions. As soon as you have a question, you fill out. If you raise your hand, we've got some people that come pick up those things. At this point, let's just go ahead and announce the Ashe County Republican Party is hosting a candidate forum for all the Republican candidates running for local offices. That's taking place tonight. Thank you for being with us. We cordially invited and urged everyone to participate in this forum, the candidates, and they were requested to submit responses to some questionnaires. And that is the sum and substance of what you're holding in your hand. It's a booklet they presented responses to general questions so that hopefully they can spend their actual time talking about real things, not spending total introduction the whole 2 minutes. That's the point of this. So you should have a copy of that. Let's go ahead and get started. The first group that we're going to talk with is the Ashe County Board of Commissioners candidates. The brochure has them in the order that they are on the ballot. We have submissions. We had submissions from 3 of the 4, and it looks like we have 2 of the candidates here tonight. So I'm going to ask them to speak in the opposite order that they're going to show up on the ballot, since they'll be tired of that ballot order, I'm sure. So the first one to speak will be Todd McNeil. So let's talk about it's opening remarks for 2 minutes. Then we're going to have 2 questions from the moderator. We have about 2 minutes to respond to each of those. Then we'll get a written question from the audience with up to 2 minutes for response. So go ahead and be doing your question for the Board of Commissioners. Get those up as soon as possible. We'll go through them and see which ones we're going to ask from the board from up here. So first of all, 2 minutes opening remarks. Commissioner Todd. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thanks to the GOP for hosting the event tonight. Jonathan and the rest of the team, I really appreciate your work for volunteering and putting this on. And most of all, thanks for everybody that's here. You're here, you're engaged, you're here, and that's what matters most. A lot of friendly faces in the room. I've not met you. My name's Todd McNeil. And Ashe County's home for me in every sense of the word. I was born here, raised here. I went to school here, except for my time at Appalachian State next door in college. And a very brief experiment with big city life. I've always been here. My wife Maggie, she's here with me tonight. She's a nurse, and together we're raising our 5 children in the northern part of the county on big helping families. Our kids, they're growing up the way most of us do here. They're running through the woods, they're fishing in the creek, and they're living in a close-knit rural community where neighbors like us watch out for one another. So serving as commissioner for the past 8 years, it's been personal to me, but it's also about responsibility to my community. Your county government exists to deliver the basics and to deliver them well and to plan for the future. So what does that look like? It's got a lot of moving pieces. Public safety, keeping Ashe County affordable, supporting the local economy where people can live and work. We're responsible for schools, infrastructure, solid waste, parks, recreation, the services that genuinely shape the quality of life and our economic stability here. As we think about growth, we must be careful and intentional. We need economic development that fits Ashe County and protects what makes this place special, all the while remaining disciplined with taxpayer dollars and maintaining one of the lowest tax rates in the state of North Carolina. Tonight is about the future of Ashe County. All of us here, we're here to serve. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I look forward to the conversation. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, our next candidate is Jerry Powell. Mr. Powell. 2 minute opening.
I'll tell you, I'm currently serving in my 10th year, and I started a little bit ahead on, I guess, I was still in school when I first came on board in 1990. Brenda Arnold, whom I married 53 plus years ago, is an Ashe County native. We've lived here, both of us have lived here all of our life, except for about 22 months. We have two sons. One lives in South Carolina and one lives here. 30 plus years ago, we were being mandated by the state of North Carolina to go on a line landfill, either in our county or we had to be a part of a regional landfill somewhere. We chose to bite the bullet, put in a liner, and we, since that time on, over 30 years ago, we now are getting ready to go into our third segment of that. Many counties would love to have a line landfill now if they could find a piece of property. Nobody wants a landfill in their community. We're blessed. We have a very large piece of property that should take care of us for the next 100 years, in my opinion. And so that's one of the things that I'm proud that we have been able to do over the past 30-some years. And I've been a part of the first and the third lining it going in, and hopefully, if I get reelected, I'll see the third one open and going. And as Todd said, one of the lowest, we are the 12th lowest tax rate of any county in the state of North Carolina. And the next summer day, that one of them people that ain't from around here is running 30 miles an hour down the road, be patient with them, because they're paying taxes on a home that they may use 1 month out of the year. And trust me, that makes everybody else's taxes go down, because they don't use the landfill 50 weeks out of the year. They don't use a lot of our services that would increase the cost of what it takes to operate the county. So just, we're blessed. We're blessed to have non-resident taxpayers helping us fund our process.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Powers. So those were opening remarks. Let's take a couple of questions and then we'll get questions from the audience. So here's some questions for both of you. Let's start with Mr. McNeil. Affordable housing is an important issue in Ashe County. What are commissioners doing, or what will you do?
Affordable housing is, make no mistake, the elephant in the room when it comes to local government, state government, and federal government. If you watch TV, the federal government's making some moves right now, relaxing some regulations. Despite what you might read on Facebook or what Jerry hears at Hardee's, your local government does not determine the price of homes and lands. It's, it's basic economic factors. But what we can do is stay engaged with regional and state conversations, which I have been, where conversations are happening to explore what federal programs and what state programs may be coming down the pipeline to help us move the needle. Because the fact is that this is Ashe County. We don't have the budget to construct, remodel, maintain, staff housing projects, for lack of a better word. It's outside of our scope of possibilities with the small town budget that we have. But there are projects, federal projects and programs, and even some stuff related to Hurricane Helene that's on its way. I know it's moved slow. Federal government, state government moves slow. But the best part that we can do, the best thing we can do to affect change on that is to stay engaged, be involved in regional and statewide conversations so that Ashe County is at the table instead of on the menu when it comes to those opportunities.
Thank you. Mr. Powers, same question, affordable housing.
Well, like Todd says, we do not have enough dollars to get in the way that a city or a highly populated county could do. We also have a much higher than average social services budget in Ashe County, which a large percentage of that money, which comes out of your pockets, is used for housing that people cannot afford. They're subsidized in paying the rent wherever they might be. And it's one of those things that we want to see everybody have an opportunity. But at the same time, you have to look at the fact that there's a certain percentage of the people that are not gonna take benefit of the opportunity that they have. So sometimes it's not always the funder that is involved in people not having what they need. A lot of times it's the person who needs the benefit that needs to put forth a little more effort to try to fund for themselves.
All right, thank you. All right, so second question. Is Ashe County tourism overall a good thing or a negative thing, and why?
Who's starting this time?
You want to start this time, Mr. Powers?
Be glad to. We're blessed with two forks of the New River. We happen to live almost in sight. We're 1,000 yards from New River Outfitters on the south fork of the river. And it's one of those things that you get behind the canoe trailer, inner tubes are blowing off in the road in front of you. All kinds of things. Be patient. Those people bring their dollars from Greensboro, Winston, Charlotte, Raleigh, wherever. They bring their dollars here just so the kids can be in a river that's fit to even be in. We're very blessed to have one of the cleanest rivers in the state of North Carolina, and it does benefit our economy to be able to have that opportunity for our taxpayers to make a living, and that is with canoe rentals.
Thank you. Mr. McNeil?
Tourism is the definition of a two-edged sword. And this same conversation takes place on the other end of North Carolina. Not only in the mountains, but the same conversations taking place down there. There's no argument against the economic benefits of tourism. All the shops downtown that you see, they employ people. Local people own those shops. Local option sales tax is paid on the majority of the goods that come out of those shops. Sales taxes that are not paid on groceries, gas, prescription medications. And those local option sales taxes go to fund our services, primarily school capital needs. Every dime of that local option sales tax that somebody comes here on the weekend and leaves at Ashe County Cheese or the Canoe Place or fill in the blank, every dime of sales tax that they leave here is a dime that doesn't have to come from those of us that live here to maintain the schools, to keep ambulances on the road, to keep deputies on the road, and people in the dispatch center to answer the phone when you call them. On the other side of that, the housing question that we just had. The fact is, we live in a wonderful place. We live in a desirable place. There's a big swath of eastern North Carolina that would give anything to be sitting here having this conversation. People want to be here, and it's causing the price of land, the price of homes to go up again. local government, we can't control that. As much as sometimes I would like to go out to the Parkway Bridge and put up a gate and have a one in, one out policy, it just doesn't work that way. You know, those folks have just as much right to come to the mountains for a weekend as any of us here have to go to the beach with our family for a weekend. So the hard part of our job is finding that delicate balance. As opposed to Watauga County next door, I think we have a wonderfully diversified economy. We have multiple manufacturers here in the county that are hiring, that have positions open. And you don't see that manufacturing base next door in Watauga County or a lot of other tourist-based economies. So we've got a good balance. There's some heartburn that comes with it. There's a little road rage that comes with it too. But anyway, at the end of the day, we're blessed to live in a desirable place.
Thank you. All right, at this point, let's see, do we have a question from the audience? Ms. White, you have,
We do.
you want me to read it? You want me to? Go ahead.
We have one specifically for Todd McNeil. Do you intend to do more active work in bringing activity areas for the county's children?
Specifically,
Specifically, it's Road to Talk.
do you care if I go first? Yes, 100%. Outdoor recreation is like, if I had to pick one passion that goes along with that job, it's outdoor recreation. At our house, my son, he's here, he'll probably roll his eyes. We've never had a video game. And I think that kids grow best when they're not behind the screen. And the more investments that we can make in parks and recreation and outdoor recreation opportunities, that gets our kids out from behind the screen. It keeps their brain healthy. It gets their body healthy. And after years of advocacy, and I don't want to get out in front of myself, and I don't want to get something printed in the paper that comes back being egg on our face, but we're the closest we've ever been, pending state funding. We've entered a memorandum of understanding with the YMCA to build a new facility at the Family Central property. So fingers crossed, that's best case scenario with YMCA. Number one, pending that state funding, we don't have to pay for it. It's their staff, they staff it, they have childcare options that helps relieve some of the burden of childcare. They have senior programs and opportunities with YMCA, and we've got a good document in place that has coordination between YMCA and Ashe County Parks and Rec, because there's things that we do good, you know. We've got good soccer leagues, we've got good t-ball, baseball, volleyball, all that. And YMCA is not going to come in and step on our toes, but we're going to let the Y teach swimming lessons, etc. Things that they know about. So, yes, recreation opportunities for kids and adults is so very important to me. And I think our track record, mine personally and as a board, will reflect attention and investment in that.
Thank you. We have a question.
We do have a question. Okay. What are your plans concerning the new medic base? What are your plans for the new medic base? How are y'all moving forward with that?
That's very much, we are just now breaking that eggshell. We're looking at the possibilities. We're looking at a facility that's closed down in the county that we are thinking of the possibility of being able to purchase. We've got several different things, but it's not an easy thing to step in short term and provide all the necessary housing for the paramedics and all the different things required to have this privilege, this safety net for our people here in Ashe County. It's going to take some months to figure out our best route. And the last thing we want to do is jump on something that we find out that we've made a terrible mistake.
All right, thank you. At this point, we've got time for a 2-minute closing remarks. You want to go first or Mr. Powers?
Well, I'm question.
Well, came here December of 1990. That's been a long time ago. I've seen a whole lot of things change. Started out in a little house behind the old courthouse. When I was a commissioner then, we purchased the property, and to build this courthouse, that was a very slow process. I had been in this new courthouse half a dozen times, and I happened to notice a little plaque down there one day, and my name was the first one on the plaque. And I thought, what in the world's going on? And then it dawned on me that I was the chairman of the county commissioners in 93 and 94 when we purchased this property. So from the time the property was purchased until the building was built, all the commissioners that were active in Ashe County happens to be on that plaque down there. John Marsh, who now lives in the desert Southwest, several of them are dead. I'm not sure, maybe, I guess most of them are dead. But I'm here as long as the people in Ashe County are happy, and I've got plenty to do if you would rather have somebody else.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. All right, 2-minute closing, Mr. McNeil.
All right. Thanks again, Jonathan and the GOP team for putting the event together. You volunteered, so you don't have to be here to do all the work. And thank you, Paige. I appreciate the work that goes into making something like this happen. Forums like this, interactions like this, they matter because local government, in my opinion, affects our daily lives and the future of our community more than any other level of government. My approach to serving in this role as commissioner has been simple and continues to be. We need to focus on the basics and we need to do them well. Those basics: public safety, reliable EMS that's there for the worst moments in life when you need it the most. Solid waste, like Jerry said, schools, infrastructure, parks, recreation. But all this means being careful stewards of taxpayer dollars. It's not lost on me or anybody in this building that every dollar we spend belongs to our neighbors. So as a small rural county, like I alluded to earlier, we don't have room for waste or big ideas that look good on paper, but they just don't work in real life. We've made careful decisions to try our best to keep Ashe County affordable for people who already live here and to ensure our kids can hopefully afford to stay here when they grow up. Like I mentioned earlier, I got 5 children of my own. It is front of mind and keeps me awake at night, just to be honest with you. We face real challenges when it comes to housing affordability. Workforce development and reliable emergency services as we transition into a county-operated EMS, as was alluded to earlier. They're big priorities and they're not going to be solved overnight. These require steady leadership, regional cooperation, learning from our neighbors, working with our neighbors, seeing what works in other mountain communities. And at the root of it all, practical solutions rooted in local values. So I believe Ashe County having a seat at the table matters. I work every day to make sure that Ashe County's heard. I work every day to make sure that we're respected and that we remain protected. Our growth should be thoughtful. Our land use policy should be responsible. And Ashe County should never, ever lose what makes it special and should never, ever become the next capital. I'm asking for your support in this election because this is home for me. My family's sitting right over here, and I care deeply about getting it right, not for me, but for them and for your families too. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for being here tonight. That's what matters most. And may God continue to richly bless Ashe County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. Mr. Powers?
I want to recognize 2 of our other county commissioners if you want to stand up. This is Russell Killen and Wes Gray.
Thank you for being with us, Commissioner.
And Mike Elder would have been here tonight, but he kind of got out of touch.
Let's give a round of applause for our candidates. Todd McNeil, Jerry Powell. Before we get to the Board of Education, I want to introduce two of our candidates who do not have a primary. In fact, do not have a general election. So you are elect, I guess is your title. Let's try to start. Clerk of Court, Sherman Lee. Register of Deeds, Beth Brooks.
Keep my remarks short because I know you're here to hear other people, but I appreciate Jonathan inviting us tonight and appreciate him giving us the opportunity to be here. Just a quick introduction of myself. I've worked for the state of North Carolina in the judicial department for 31 years now. I started out as a probation officer, worked there 10 years, and I was a magistrate for 20 years. I was fortunate enough a couple of years ago when Pam Barlow retired to be appointed by Judge Duncan to fill out the remainder of her term, and now I'm fortunate enough again to be running against no one, being unopposed, which is very much a surprise to me, but I'm very thankful for that. But the reason I'm thankful is because I get to come to work and serve people every day. The majority of the people that come through the clerk's office every day need help in some form or fashion. They may need to be paying off a ticket to get their license back. They may be a domestic violence victim, and they've just lost a loved one with an estate needing to be opened. But there's a lot of opportunities to help people, and I have found that is really a good thing that comes through that office every day is an opportunity to help people. Very fortunate to have a great staff in place. They're the ones that do all the heavy lifting. I'm just fortunate enough to be there every day. Thankful for them, and I'm thankful that I'm going to be able to stay and serve the county for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Corso, I'll call you Your Honor. Thank you for being with us. Beth Brooks. Brooke. Register of Deeds. Thank you for being with us.
Yes. Hi, good evening. I'm Beth Brooke. I'm thankful that I do not have anyone running against me. Deanne Roden, she has been the Register of Deeds for almost 14 years, or 14 years this year. And I'm blessed to have her endorse me. And she's been a great mentor to myself. And I look forward to running the office and going over all the state laws and keeping the office in regards to the state laws. There's a lot of changes that continually happen. One issue we have right now that you've probably heard in the news is property fraud. So far, we haven't seen it yet in Ashe County, but I would say it's coming. On our website for the Register of Deeds, we do have a property notification that you can go on there and sign up individually to protect your property. And if you have any questions about that, please call our office. We'll be happy to help you with that. I have been a certified deputy. I've been there for 4.5 years. I am certified through the UNC government of North Carolina, and I'll continue to keep the certification up. I got my notes here. I am devoted to our job there, and I've got a great team right now. Well, not my team yet, but thankfully they're planning on staying, and I'm looking forward to hiring another person once we get in, and we'll have a great team, and I look forward to working with the citizens of Ashe County. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person we're going to do is the Board of Education. As they're coming up, are there any other candidates in the room? There were other candidates for other races maybe. Is there anyone here who's a candidate for another office? Do we have any elected officials besides? Yes, Chairman of the School Board, Josh Raven. Yes, thank you for being with us. I see an Assistant District Attorney there, Lee Bricker. Thank you for being with us. Teresa Calhoun, where are you? Hello, School Board member. Any other candidates? Okay, Town of West Jefferson, Brian Hay, how are you?
Yes, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Does anybody else have their questions? Ready? Anybody else have their questions?
So just to help me remember what order, let me switch you. Yes. That keeps you in ballot order, and I might make it. All right, our next group is 4 candidates for the school board. I had them do their 2-minute introductions, but we've got, and let me name them in order. Diane Ilbreth. We have Wes Calbreth. We have Janet Ward and Shane Little. Thank you all for being with us. Starting with Ms. Eldred, 2 minutes for an opening remark.
Good evening. First of all, thank you, Don, for having us. This is new to me because the school board, up until a couple of years ago, was nonpartisan, and so we didn't have to do a primary or any of that stuff, which good and bad. Okay, but I'm here, and I'm. Most of you know me. I've been in Ashe County. I'm not telling you how many years, but I'm old in dirt. Definitely. But I have lived here. I grew up in Warrensville. Mike and I live in Lansing, and my apologies for him not being here. He got the stomach bug right early this afternoon, so I don't think you wanted him here tonight. But anyway, but thank you for having us. But I grew up here. Started teaching in 1977. And I think I've taught in most of the schools in Ashe County. I know I've taught at every grade level. I've taught exceptional children. I've taught gifted kids. I even did a semester or 2 at Wilkes Community College, and that didn't last long. But I care deeply about our kids and our community. My thing is giving back. I was fortunate enough to grow up here and had some adults that believed in me, and that's what I'm trying to do, is to believe in our children and our teachers. And I give back. I'm a chairperson of Project Graduation. I've been that for 24 years now. I don't know where that went, but 24 years ago, and that is one of the biggest things that I think our community does for our students, is to pull those kids together and celebrate what they've accomplished all night long. I've also worked with our soccer program for 34 years, that we do our own little soccer thing. There's a long story behind that I won't get into, but I love it. I get to interact with kids. We get to talk to kids and help kids grow. And so those are some of the things I've been involved in. I am a little bit worried about our education system. We do not seem to be getting the support from Raleigh that I would like to see us have. We have some big pitfalls, some shortages, I guess, as to, oh, you need to do this. This is the mandate, but we don't have any money coming back. And I do appreciate our commissioners. They have been very supportive, but they can't fund everything that we need funded because they have all the things that you heard about them earlier that they need to do. So I'm very well aware of that. So we have a school system that has been really active in getting grants, but grants are not always reliable. They don't last forever. So I'm worried about that. The biggest thing that I'm
Good time, yes.
Okay, I can go on and on.
Sorry.
This is why I prepared this. All right, thank you very much. We'll get into some questions.
Okay.
Our next candidate, Wes Calbreth. You have 2 minutes for opening remarks.
Thank you. My name's Wes. It's really good to be here and see all these people. So I'm coming in with a strong background in public education. I have worked in various positions for 26 years. 4 years so retirement. I have run the gamut from working as a kindergarten teacher to being a 12th grade counselor. And I've had the privilege to work on a variety of problems in different school systems that were pretty significant. And I feel pretty confident in saying that whatever problem we tried to tackle, we made it better, whether it was student achievement, whether it was attendance, whether it was student behavior, or whether it was student safety. All of these areas are things that over the years I've had experience and boots on the ground tackling a significant issue and handling it. I've only got 2 minutes, so I can't tell you all those, but if you want to stick around afterwards and you want specific examples, I can name some parents who you can call and they can tell you all about my work in public ed. The one thing I want to say about my philosophy on working on a board and with other people is I have what's called a yes and philosophy. Anybody ever had a spirited discussion with a spouse and they tell you exactly how they feel, and then you go, yeah, but, and then you catch that look that you just don't want to see. Saying yes, but can be very dismissive when someone comes to you with a strong idea. I prefer to say yes and I'll give you an example. If someone were to come to me with a strong idea on education, say, you know what, all we need to worry about in our schools is reading, writing, and math, and that is it. Yes, that is the basis of strong schools and strong education. And there's more to raising a good citizen than just that, because we've all sat around the coffee house and said, you know what, why didn't the school teach my kid to change a flat tire? Why didn't my school teach my kid to do taxes? So that's the and part of the equation, right? So yes, that strong opinion should be heard and has some truth to it. And there is also some additional things to the equation. So when I'm working with groups of people, that's just a little piece of like how I like to work. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Our next candidate looks like we have Shane Little. You have 2 minutes for opening remarks.
Thanks, John, and thank you, GOP and the Republicans, Angie, Katie, wherever she's at. I appreciate you guys hosting this evening and allowing us all to present who we are. I am Shane Little. I'm a lifelong resident. I've been here, well, my life. Did not pull a Todd and take a couple years away, although sometimes I wish I had. My wife and I, Marcy, works for a local attorney. I have owned a very successful business here in town for the last 20 years. Have a second business. We raise our kids here. We've got grandkids in the school system. And I'm choosing to do this because it's something that I've wanted to do all my life. And when you're raising kids, that's hard to do because you're committed to their ball games. You're committed to their organizations and their dances and everything like that. And now that has surpassed, I want to be able to make a difference for the generation of kids who are coming. I'm committed to working with our schools, our teachers, and our students and making it a better place for the county. And back to what Todd said earlier, the one thing that he said was economic growth and seeing things grow here in the county. And I think one way that we get economic growth and people coming in is having a good education system, because when big businesses or factories are looking at coming, they look at the education system first. And I want to make sure that we're offering that for new businesses so we can provide more jobs so our students can actually stay here in the county and be able to be productive citizens and to continue to grow and be part of the county that we live in and love.
Thank you very much. All right, our next candidate is Janet Ward. 2 minutes for opening remarks.
Okay, first of all, in the back, if you are interested in all the things that I've accomplished, I've got my last name is Ward. I've got work experience awards, responsibilities, developing curriculum and school floor plans, as well as some of the things that I believe in regarding education. Feel free to pick one up. There's also, excuse me, a business card with an email address and phone number that you could contact with me if you have any questions later on. My first experience with education shows you how far back I go. Parents had to buy school books. And I would get so excited, it was like Christmas when those school books would come home, and then I would play school with my younger brother and sister, because I loved to teach. I didn't realize that's how much I loved it until much later in my life. To show you a little bit about how some of the problems we're dealing with are old problems, is my very first teaching position. 5th grade, I taught 3rd grade all day because the principal, who was the 3rd grade teacher, had to travel to the state capitol to attend a meeting, and there was no money for substitutes. So a 5th grader taught 3rd grade. I loved it, had a lot of fun doing it, but money is still a problem. And we need parents, we need community members to advocate. You'd be surprised how many of most of our TAs, most of our assistant principals, our school counselors, our psychologists are paid for out of other funds. County commissioners help us a lot, as much as they can. And we have a marvelous finance team that is constantly getting grants for us. We just were talking this afternoon. We had a 4-hour board meeting this afternoon. We were talking about the new grant we got for a little over $2.8 million to help with mental health counselors and psychologists. The state doesn't give us enough money. One of the things we want to advocate for, and I do every time I see one of our elected officials, is we need more funds in the school, not just teacher pay. Because if you really they have found and done research studies that increasing teacher pay really doesn't improve performance, but it does get us more support. in the schools, and better funding, and things like roof repairs that we have to work and struggle for. The other thing that I wanted to mention and bring up is that although I'm not originally from Ashe County, I came through this county on vacation with my family at 9 years old, and I told my dad I want to live there. And then my family moved to Arizona for health issues, and at 13 I met my current husband at church, and we never talked, and all the time we knew each other and dated and got married where he was from. I found out when he said that we settled on East Carolina University for him to work on his master's and me to finish my bachelor's. He said, well, we're gonna go visit my grandma. Well, you know where his grandma lived? His grandparents, all of his grandparents, South Fork, Chestnut Hill, Ashe County.
Thank you, Ms. Ward.
So I've loved this county since I was 9. I first came here in the 70s, 1970, after we married, which tells you how old I am. And I have loved being here since I retired.
Thank you very much. We'll have some more questions.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to go down the line and let each of you be first with a question, so I thought that might be fair. So the first question we'll have to give to Mr. Callbrath.
Yes.
All right, so more and more families in Ashe County are choosing to homeschool. Why is this?
We saw a big spike in homeschools during COVID, which makes sense. And for some families, they were able to make that shift and keep doing it. It's not a viable option for everybody. I think that in the wave of school choice options, that is a choice that some people are opting for. Sometimes there's times when, for example, I know in my work, I've worked with a lot of kids with some significant mental health issues or some physical health issues. And sometimes that is a more tenable option to get them to graduate maybe than a standard 8 to 3:30 school day. I'm aware that there are concerns across the state, across the nation about the content of classrooms and what's being taught. There's some of that's misinformation. There's things that people think are happening in classrooms that are not happening. So I want to encourage all the parents to please, by all means, go find the curriculum and educate yourselves on exactly what is to be taught and use that as your guide and your facts versus relying on very competing entities with that. The growth of internet, the growth of online options has also made homeschooling easier for a lot of parents. Some parents also have, they like to have a more flexible schedule with their child. They like to be able to take them on educational opportunities. They want to work in other things that don't fit the traditional school day. So as school choice has grown, homeschooling has grown. The one thing I will say is there are a lot of pros to public education and taking the traditional route. There's a lot of services that as homeschool parents you might not have access to, but you do get access to Ashe County Public Schools, like a good school counselor. Like if you're a homeschool student, you really don't have solid school counseling services. A lot of homeschool parents who have children with learning disabilities still have to rely on the school system, and it is sort of out of the scope for the average parent necessarily to teach students with those disabilities. So while it is growing and there are reasons for it to be growing, I do still encourage homeschool parents to consider coming back to public schools. There's a lot that we have to offer. We welcome your kids back for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Coward. Thank you. All right. Mr. Little, same question. Homeschooling. More and more families in Ashe County are choosing to homeschool. Why is this?
So my thought pattern on that is that it's almost a double-edged sword question. Why are parents choosing to homeschool? I agree with Wes. I do believe that the opportunities that are out there have made it more accessible and easier for parents to make that decision. But I think that we've got to reach the ground of communication. I think lots of times there's miscommunication, whether it be from a state level, whether it be from a school level, whether it be from a national level. And people are afraid to speak to one another. into, as Wes was saying, that yes and situation, to have a conversation rather than saying, why are you doing this? Let's have a conversation. Why are you doing this? Not questioning what they're doing, but questioning why, so that perhaps we can help understand a better way to get them reconnected back within the school system. I do believe that there are more opportunities within the school system for students when it comes to, of course, education, because of different classes and different things that are offered. When you start looking at the higher grades, you have the opportunity to even create some beginnings of trade skills and things that they can continue to use their entire life. You have more sport options for children. You have band opportunities and art opportunities that are really hard when it's homeschooled. And I feel like that sometimes parents don't necessarily think through that whole common thread. And I think we have to become better at giving them access and helping them understand what they're actually missing out on, rather than what are they running away from. And I think it's an opportunity for us to be able to have just really great conversations. That's one thing that I'm learning to be real keen about. With my job, communication is huge, because I can screw up a lady's hair in a heartbeat because of miscommunication. And I think it's about asking the right questions, offering the right answers, and offering the right opportunities, and not making anyone feel like that they are less than or bad for making that decision, but helping them understand that we love them where they are, but want to help them be better.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Ward?
I want to say, first of all, I have 11 grandchildren, 3 children, 11 grandchildren, and now 3 great-grandchildren. So I've seen a lot of experiences and a lot of opportunities. I have one grandchild that developed mental health issues and had me homeschooled for a while. And it was the right choice for her. And she needed it for a while. And then she was able to get back into regular schooling. I have a set of grandchildren that are living, unfortunately, in Western New York State. And during COVID, their parents, who are both master's degree educated teachers, and my son is a preacher, heard from their kids, could see on the computer what was being taught in New York. And it was so against their belief system, they pulled their kids out. And then they established a community of homeschoolers that met once a week and had socialization. And in that situation, that was the right choice. And their youngest daughter is still being homeschooled and doing her high school curriculum with her parents, but she's got well-educated parents. So the first question is, are you capable? Do you have an understanding of how to teach your child and what the needs are that will help your child get through? Lots of options are out there. Charter schools are out there. In terms of funding, you need to understand with our small school system, all funding for homeschoolers and especially for charter schools, which we don't have any in our county, funneled through Ashe County schools. And that money, average daily attendance money, has to go to wherever that child goes. So that reduces our population. It reduces the options we have for classroom sizes. It reduces the money we have available for buildings, etc. So public schools are an excellent choice because everybody needs an education. But we also need to be aware of the fact that parents need to be educated in how to determine what's the best choice for your child. During COVID, I had 3 grandchildren in college. One absolutely failed on remote learning, could not do it. He went to an academically gifted program school in his state of Kentucky as a high school student, but he couldn't handle college with remote learning. So get to know your kids and determine what they need and what your skills are before you make your choice.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Ms. Eldridge, same question.
It's really nice going last on this one, isn't it? But anyway, I have looked at a lot of homeschooling situations, and I think we have parents who tend to homeschool their kids more when they're younger, and then when they get older, they put them back into school because the curriculum has outgrown them. Also, it's not everybody that has that opportunity to have one parent stay home and homeschool their kids because and I had to work. If I didn't work, I remember one time being on maternity leave, and Mike said, "Are you going back to work any time before we start?" And I said, "Well, maybe." So, you know, it's that kind of situation. But I've also looked into some homeschooling, things, and we have a lot of people here that have moved here simply to homeschool, and they live in a remote part of Ashland County. And there's a group of them that live up on the river, and I think that they draw in more schoolers. They want them to live there. Our bus routes are extremely long in some situations, and I think that also adds to homeschooling. During the hurricane, during COVID, especially during the hurricane, we had limited bus service, just like we've had in the last 2 weeks, and that's really hard on young kids. So I think that might be a factor as well. I do know that homeschool kids often have one subject that's stronger than another, and when they get up to the high school level, then we have to do some remediation to get them back to be where the other people are. Another factor is that we're very structured at school right now. We're putting a lot of emphasis, because the state said so, on testing, on the one right answer. As we talked about before, we don't have enough funding, so there are the things that kids are interested in are not the curriculum things that we're able to provide all the time. So that also, if you have the means, might be a reason that you would homeschool. It's not an option for most people, most common people in Ashe County. It's just not an option. We have to work. So we need to strengthen our schools so that we can meet the needs of all these kids, these folks. And I agree that communication is key. We've got to talk to our parents. Why are you unhappy? What can we do to help this situation? And be open that there are opportunities to provide things that kids need, and so that they don't have to be homeschooled. And we have a pretty involved special education curriculum here. And
thank you very much. All right, we have a second question from the moderator, then we get a third question. We have a question from the audience before we handle it. Let's see, that would be starting with Ms. Ward. Did you start already once, Mr. Little? Okay, so this is the second question for Mr. Little. I have a high school student in the school. What can parents do to address issues they see in our Ashe County schools?
Oh, wow. You do have a daughter in law, and she would love it.
Well, thank you.
I do have to take care of her hair services. Yeah. And she's
Not beautiful because of me, so.
She's beautiful because she carries her personality as well. So that makes her beautiful. Enough of that. I do believe that there's a situation where addressing what students need in school and how to do it, that's a twofold situation. We've got to be able to communicate with our kids, but we also have to be able to communicate with the people in the school. And whether it be the teachers, whether it be the counselors, whether it be the principal, the assistant principal, we've got to be able to have that communication line open. And I'm probably going to hound on that because I believe that's where the breakdown is. Everyone is afraid to talk to anyone because we're afraid that if we're not on the same page, that we're going to be chastised, yelled at, or not listened to. Where the truth of the matter is we've got to learn that it's okay to ask a question and not feel like we're being questioned or being attacked. That it's a situation where we can, and it will allow us to be able to look at these kids, look at their parents, and work with the teachers and find out how do we resolve this, rather than it being just a situation that blows up and people get mad at each other. And unfortunately, the gossip train gets going and it goes from one person to the next to the next. And I know fully for me, I believe that if I'm hearing a gossip train, you have about a minute to prove to me that it's true. But I'm also not afraid to pick up the phone and call and say, this is what I heard. Please help me understand what's going on. And that's something that I think that we just lost as a generation of people, is the ability to pick up a call and say, this is what I'm hearing. Help me understand. And it allows us to get back to what the students are wanting to learn, what the students are seeing, and make them feel comfortable coming forward and saying, this is what I see, this is where I'm having problems, this is where I'm concerned.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ward, same question. What can parents do to address issues they see in our Ashe County schools?
Communication is a key issue here, and one of the things that parents need to do is you need to start having time, like at a dinner table with your kids, from the time they enter school, where you ask them questions that can't be answered with yes or no. Because a lot of parents will say, well, how was your school day? Fine. And they say nothing else. You need to do some digging to learn what's going on and how they're feeling about it. And if you start it when they're young, when they get to their teen years, they will be more open to talking to you about the day. And one of the things, I've taught everything from kindergarten to adult teacher training programs. So I have, and most of my career was with high school students. And a lot of people think, oh, my kids, that I don't need to spend as much time talking to them. They're young adults now, let's go. The most dangerous time for your kids is middle school and high school, because there's less supervision for them and they're less likely to talk to you. You need to make sure you talk to them, and you need to make sure you get to know their teachers. There's nothing wrong with you coming in school. It's going to start next week. Come in and say, hi, I wanted to let you know my name is, and so is my child, or something like that. Call them when your child gives you an answer that you don't like, and ask. And like he has said, if you ever play telephone in the elementary school classroom, you know that by the time you get around that ring, nothing is said accurately by the time you get around. So when gossip has told you so-and-so is happening, go to the source, go back to the original teacher or the superintendent and find out. You have that right. And most teachers want you to come and talk to them about their students and how they're doing and what they're discovering in the classroom. For example, I had a child that I knew was anorexic. I was teaching foods and nutrition. And I knew she was going to the bathroom right after eating, sampling food. And getting in touch with the parent didn't have a clue. But you need to talk to your kids. That's the final thing that I need to say.
Thank you. Ms. Elder, what can parents do to address issues they see in our Ashe County schools?
Well, I think that first of all, we need to continue to build relationships between our school and our teachers and our administrators. I know that when you have a relationship with an educator, it's a lot easier to go talk to them about an issue. Or I get a lot of calls because people don't have those relationships. They don't know the teacher or the administrator, but I had them in school, I had their kids in school, so they call me. And it's just what they said, the communication. As your kids get older, parents tend to not be as involved in their education. And so I would recommend that we keep being involved, talking, as Janet has said, to our kids, keeping that communication open, and also building those relationships with your teachers and with your administrators. Go talk to them. It doesn't have to be when your kid has a problem. That is the worst time to try to build a relationship. It needs to be when you see them out. It needs to be when you're at a function together. Introduce yourself. Being on the other side of it, it's pretty intimidating anymore for teachers, for parents to come, because when parents come, they've got something going on that they don't know how to communicate effectively. They're all, as a old lady that came to see me one time said, get out of shape like an old hen. And I thought, oh my gosh, here we go. It's all spread out, she said. So it's that kind of thing. And so I think it's very important on both sides that we continue to build those relationships. And that's what I encourage with our teachers and our parents, that we build relationships so that we can have a talk. And sometimes you have to wait a few minutes before you say something, because this is for me too, because it looks different 5 minutes from now than when your kid first come home and so did so-and-so. And you got to remember too, those accounts are not always as accurate as the real thing. They may tell you one thing, the teacher may tell you something else, and probably the real truth of it is somewhere in the middle. We all remember that old gossip game we used to play in school.
Thank you very much. Mr. Colbreth, same question.
So in addition to what we talked about communication, I would highly suggest that you think about for your kid building a team. You build a team of people that care about that child, and that team is comprised of all the people in that kid's life. If that kid has a pastor, they're part of the team. Their teachers are part of the team. The principal's part of the team. The school counselor's part of the team. If they have a workplace job, they're part of the team. And when you start to conceptualize that as like my child's team, that's a preemptive strike against a lot of the problems that we have, because y'all all talk to each other, you work as a team, and so it cuts out the misunderstanding and the gossip, because you've got this concept of we are a team here for my child. And here's the other thing is sometimes those kids won't have as many problems because they know they're backed up by a team, right? They feel safer going to school because they've got a team. They feel like they've got somebody to go to. So problems don't languish, and they don't sit, and they don't build up and eat away at that child at night because they've got a team. And when you've got a team across all the dimensions of that child's life, everybody's got a role to play. Everybody can play that role, and also the team holds each other accountable. Right? If I'm on a team, I've been on a team with teachers before, and we all had the same kids, and we would find that my partner across the hall had some sway with this one particular young man, and all she had to do was look at him cross-eyed, and he'd straighten up. Right? And so when that was the case, and we worked together as a team, she would get on him about things he would do in other classrooms, and he would listen, and the next thing you know, there's less problems because, again, that kid felt supported, felt like there was a team, and we got ahead of hard feelings and misunderstandings and the blame game and that, because we were all talking together and had in our concept that we were a team to surround this child.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. All right, do we have a question from the audience for our participants?
You do.
Ms. White, you have-
School board and chair are so popular, so.
This first question will go to Mr. Ward.
What do you propose to encourage graduates to stay and come back to Ashe County after graduation?
Ms. Ward?
Well, one of the things that I do have to say about our school system is that there are 165 different certifications students in this county can receive for the kinds of jobs that we're short on, like welding and carpentry and culinary and hairdressing. All of this can be accomplished through cooperation with Wilkes Community College and our Ashe Early College. So there are lots of things that we're doing through the schools to help prepare your children, the students, to have the skills that they need to be successful when they get out into the workplace. And understand that we are already looking at the fact that AI is not only, and that's artificial intelligence, is not only changing what we need to be educating our kids with and for and how to do and what they need to do and learn. We are also working on helping the teachers understand how AI is going to affect not just our students and our learning and our educating our students, but it's also going to impact our workplace. There are jobs out there now that there's been no training for because AI has occurred so rapidly. So that's something we've already been doing and thinking about, is how can we help get the skills they're going to need for the future that AI is creating, that we're all having to deal with now, which gets me very frustrated on my phone as well. That's one of the key issues. The other thing is, I know our commissioners are working on getting businesses come into the county. They've got a new business park that they are working on to try to get more people in here, more jobs in here. But we also need to work on teaching kids work ethic and the value of doing a good job, and that welfare is not the answer to a happy life. All those kinds of things are like character development and work ethic are things we try to incorporate in the education programs for our students that will hopefully help them stay.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Same question is to Ms. Gilbert.
Could you repeat the question?
Could you repeat the question, please?
How will you ensure that your district,
Graduates,
I'm sorry, graduates, about to graduate.
graduates staying in Ashe County.
I think we've got a problem with our, graduates.
Could be in the floor.
Coming back to Ashe County because we've got a lack of housing, we've got a lack of childcare, we've got a lack of these kinds of things that we need for them to be able to live here. I've got people who get normal jobs here are having a hard time finding a place to live. They're having a hard time paying the kinds of apartments for housing. We can't afford to build a house. I'm just thankful that my children are already established here, that are going to be here. I have one daughter who can't come back here because she cannot find the job that she needs, and frankly, I don't think our house is big enough to house them. So I worry about those things. And as Ms. Ward said, we are doing a lot of things now that hopefully if we can keep them here, we can help them do those things. And there are so many jobs now that are not college dependent that we really need. Have you called a plumber lately? Or an electrician? It's almost impossible. You're talking months to get people to come in and do those kinds of things that used to be basic skills. And I think, I was a school teacher for 35 years, and I promise you, I've got kids who are in the electrical field and the plumbing field who made 3 or 4 times more than I ever made and never left the county. The apprenticeship is from the State Department is also being promoted, where we don't have to go to school. We work under an accomplished plumber or an accomplished electrician or other trades. And like Ms. Ward says, we have 165 different certifications. But until we address, and I'm sorry, county commissioners, until we address this lack of affordable housing, being able to have someone take care of your children I was fortunate enough to have childcare in my home. We starved a lot while we were doing that, but we don't have those options right now. We have to have options for childcare in order for our folks to move back to this county.
Thank you very much, Ms. Young. Next question, Mr. Culver, same question.
Same question. So I do a lot of career counseling in my work. I work with Gear Up, which is a grant-funded program that serves Ashe County students. And one of the primary questions I've suggested we ask is after you graduate, where do you want to go? Not what do you want to do? Because where you want to go and live is going to affect what you want to do. Because if the answer is I want to stay in Ashe County, then the list changes. Right? If you want to be a neurosurgeon and you want to live in Ashe County, those two things might not go so well together. So it's really important to look at where you want to live first. And do we ask our kids that? Maybe. We should. And so then we start looking at career exploration from the standpoint of if you want to live here, here's what the job options are. Trades are an excellent example. And in Gear Up, you were in college a lot. Community college is college. So I have 4 kids and they all went a different way. I have one daughter who is a welder. She didn't go the 4-year liberal arts job route, but she went to community college. She probably makes more money than I do. Bless her heart, love her. But we need to have a good understanding of what the market looks like here and what the needs are, and helping kids pick from things that will give them that living wage. Because we've all had the experience with a child who went and got a degree in something like, I don't know, something not specific, and then they're a barista for a while because they don't have a job in that county that goes with that degree. So we've got to align the questions we ask these kids and how we counsel them with their intended location and make that part of the equation. The other thing we probably need to work on our kids with career exploration is, there are a lot of careers that traditionally used to be brick and mortar and are now remote. You can be an engineer and work remote. So we also need to talk to our students about that, because there's some things that they don't even realize yes, that's an option, and it's an option for you to live and work in Ashe County. It might be a remote job, but it's a thing. So don't just rule it out because, oh, well, we don't have XYZ here in Ashe County. Accounting is dying for people, and you can do accounting remotely. So that's just one example. But again, where do you want to live? What's the job market look like? And is that career interest you have, could it be done remotely? So there.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Yeah.
Mr. Little?
Same question.
Yes, sir.
I think I agree with Wes, and I agree with what Diane and Janet have all said. We've got to help our kids explore. But I think that the other thing that we need to do, and something that I can't say if it works or not, but I think that I see this working, is there needs to be direct communication with the county commissioners. If they're looking at bringing in business, if they're looking at bringing in industry, then we've got to make sure that we're offering and providing what education system we're looking for. And I mean, it goes back to Wilkes Community College bringing in the GE program so that the people can get educated through the Wilkes Community College system so that then they become viable employees for a local industry. So that helps us to be able, if we start, instead of being two separate entities, sometimes being frustrated with each other, making sure that we're communicating correctly so that we can offer those options for the industry that will be coming into the county. Because I know that they're actively seeking different industries and different businesses. And so it allows them. I agree with Wes that we do have to make sure that our children understand that there are different options, that it's not just necessarily collegiate based. I'm a person who thinks outside the box. I'm also wondering if in the future something that we may look at is a vocational high school. Not just an early college high school, but something that really concentrates on our training. And so they can graduate with that certificate, so that they are prepared to go into the workforce and can go into an apprenticeship under someone else. Because Diane's right. We have, if you need a plumber right now, it's months. If you need a tile man, I know today I spoke with someone and it's October for a tile. We need these trades filled. We need people, and we've got people who are capable. And rather than pushing that, you got to go to college, got to go to college, got to go to college, it allows them to have a trade, which is needed here in the county to help us get everything in place that we need to do. Affordable housing is something that is going to be an elephant in the room, like Todd said earlier. We have to approach that, but it's not a commissioner thing. It's what the state is doing, and it's also what people are doing with the price of their houses, the price of their rental properties, and the price of their land. It's a private thing that we've got to figure out how to help people understand that, look, we can't keep gouging and expect things to change.
Thank you very much, Mr. All right, it's time for 2-minute closing remarks. We'll go backwards. We started at this end. We'll go start from this end. Ms. Ward, 2 minutes for closing. You have more questions? Really? That's when we go into doing it. Do you have another good one though? I mean, I'm sure they'd be loved to.
This is a good question. I think they would benefit from it.
Okay, sure. Try, let's go. All right, so the first person for that would be, well, who started? You started, Diane started? All right, so Mr. Palmer.
Okay. That should be done. Janet started the last one.
Okay. Ms. Eldridge, to answer this, what is this question?
How do you ensure and prioritize that students and teachers are advocated for and heard?
I do that all the time because I feel like that that's why we have an education system. It's for our teachers and for our students. And if anybody's ever been to one of our board meetings, they would know that I'm asking about, okay, how does that affect our kids? What does that mean for this group or that group? If we're going on a field trip, how are we going to fund that? So we need to advocate for our kids all the time. That's why we're a Board of Education. That's why we're a school system. It's about the children. It's not about the test scores, although I love good test scores. I'm as competitive as the next person, go Heels. But it's about us making sure that we are doing what's in their best interest, that we are advocating for the least of these. We've got a little You know, if there's a little fella who needs shoes, then we need to make sure they get shoes. If there's someone who needs a reference to get into a college, then we write that reference. We need to, as a group, not just us, but anybody on the board, but our whole community needs to continue to advocate for our kids. And I think we've done a good job of that in Ashe County, and I would like for us to continue that. We care about our kids here, we take care of our kids here, and we don't want any of them to go homeless, hungry, or without the mental health services or whatever that they need. And so I think that's in every person in Ashe County's job to help us do that. And if you let me know of any of those kids, I tend to try to help what I can, where I can.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Colbert.
So that question, I'm gonna kind of answer with a question, and that's how do you let kids and teachers know that you care? Because that's what it boils down to, is if we want to advocate, they need to know that we care about them. And y'all, I will walk through fire for your kid. If you have ever been on my Facebook page, Wes Calvert for Ashe County School Board, creative name, there's some testimony from some of my former students who have been on there that you can read. I can point you to some people. I actually got a call from a student today who was a former student of mine that I had 6 years ago. She asked me to officiate their wedding. And that's my 5th one. So everything we do has to demonstrate caring for our teachers and students. If you work in a school system and a teacher needs to see you, you need to make yourself available. I used to stand, and this was at high school, I used to stand at the front door every day, so every kid that came in that building saw my face. They thought I was the principal. I was not. I was the school counselor. But it chokes me up to feel to think about it now, but I got an email from a student who had been through a really traumatic situation, and she emailed me after graduation to say, thank you for making me feel safe to come in that building every day. And all I did was stand at the front door. Little things like that speak volumes. If you are an office person, like guidance counselors, we tend to be office people. Get out of your office. Get out there. Go stand among the kids. Talk to the kids. See them at their sporting events. Talk to your teachers. When a teacher needs something and they email you because they need help, respond and get after it. I've also had the unfortunate experience to have been on the ground the day of a school shooting, where the school shooter was on the loose, and we didn't know where they were. And that's a time you better step it up. But kids watch what you do as adults. Teachers watch what you do as adults. So your words and your behaviors have to match. They have to be congruent. If you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. So that's my 2 cents on advocating.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Little?
So I wasn't playing on my phone.
I heard about it. I thought,
no,
I
I actually looked at the definition, advocate, right? And it says a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy. And I think that's how we advocate for our teachers and our students. Everybody keeps talking about students. Guys, we've got to advocate for our teachers too. Because unfortunately, we've got some teachers who think that people don't care. They feel like they aren't heard. They feel like they aren't seen. And I think that that's a situation where we've got to stop that. We have students who also feel that way. They're not heard. They're not seen. They don't matter. And like Wes was saying, standing at the front door, letting these kids know, I can tell you, and I'll throw the rest of this in my closing, I've worked with the kids the last, however long the back to school batch has been going. How long has that been, Mr. Howell? 5 years now? 5 years. I've manned the haircutting station because that's my profession. I have kids in that line who get a haircut once a year. Because there's nobody advocating for them. There's nobody saying, you matter. I can tell you they know I care. Because I'm not afraid to put it out there, just like Wes said. They see it, they know it, and their parents know it. But the teachers who are walking around also know that I care because I'm not afraid to talk to them. I'm not afraid to say, this is what we've got to do, and I appreciate what you are doing. Because I think anybody who's appreciated, Wes said it the best, nobody cares what you say or nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. And that's the truth. And that goes from adults all the way down to children, even as low as kindergarten. because that hug for a kindergartner can mean more than anything else. Just as much as that pat on the back as they walk across the stage can say, you know what, I'm proud of you. And I know our school system has stepped up, because I know last year I was in a board meeting and the Hill program, I know that that night it was 12 people and they were hoping 13, 12 kids that were going to not graduate and going to not pass. One teacher stepped up and said, yes, you are. I care. Here you go. And they walked across that stage because they were willing to fight for them. And I think that's what we've got to do.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Ward?
Some of the things that our school system, well, first of all, my whole career was teaching. I'm passionate about teaching. The stories of working with kids, I've done that. I've given after school hours volunteering. So I know how important that is to be there for the students. But knowing that the school board job, one of the things we can do is advocate for helping the teachers. This system in this county does, and we approve, training for teachers so that our teachers don't have to travel out of the county to get training so that they can work toward a master's degree, work toward leadership skills to become a principal or assistant principal. Teachers need that kind of advocacy. The other thing that we work on, and that we have been working on this last year, is one of our tasks is to oversee policy. Policies are the way we develop procedures and the rules that everybody has to follow. And we try to get input, and our school system directors, et cetera, do a good job of getting input from parents and students before we make decisions on the policies that we have to change or keep or whatever. And understand that laws change policy for us, that we have to go back and reevaluate. For example, last spring, it was brought to us that phones are not helpful in school. Somebody mentioned no computer games at home. We didn't let our kids have Xbox. I tested out Pac-Man because my kids had gotten a software program on a computer and they were arguing over who used it. And I said, I got to try this out. I found this is addictive back in the mid-'80s. We're not going to have that in our house. Advocating has to happen, but policies and oversight of budgets and finances and where we spend our money is what the board does to show how we care, how we advocate for our teachers, our staff. We have been out of school for 19 days in the last couple of weeks. Any no day means no pay for our janitors and our cafeteria workers because of the way laws are set up. So our superintendent and our staff has worked hard to make sure those no days are few and that we find a way to make sure that our staff gets paid. Other counties don't do that. I've never worked in a school system that did that kind of thing. So I've been very impressed with the advocacy the board does and the directors at our county office do to help support leadership training for our teachers, for our students, and for our staff to help them be the best they can be.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. We're time for closing, 2 minutes for closing remarks. We started with Ms. Eldridge last time. Mr. Colbert, would you like to start, please?
Sure. I'm gonna get in the pulpit for a second here. But one of the things I wanted to say too is that I mentioned yes and as a philosophy. I'm also very much a what would Jesus do person. I believe in caring for others. I believe in protecting others. That's our job. Like, that's why we're here. We're here to care for other people. That's what we're called to do. Some of the things I said that I was going to say on here, I've already said. Like, I will literally walk through fire. I was ready to take a bullet for a kid the day we had an active shooter. If you go to my campaign Facebook page, you'll see some testimony. You'll see some things for kids that I can give you names, and we can talk about it afterwards too. I can give you some stories. But it doesn't matter to me whether you're rich or poor, whether you rent, whether you own a home, whether you're on the left or right of the spectrum, whether your kid is the valedictorian or dead last in your class. I'm going to make sure their well-being is at the top of my list because I will know how to fix whatever they're facing with. The other thing I'll add too is on the funding issue we've heard on, yes, we are last in the nation in funding our public schools. And I have worked my whole career in a lot of schools that were high poverty schools and done a lot of things with $0 that moved the needle academically and behaviorally and with attendance. We talked about caring and advocating. That's free. That's free. Working together as a community to care and advocate for our kids, that's free. So while we are facing being 50th in the nation in funding, there are things we can do that don't cost money that can make it better for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Culver. Mr. Little, 2 minutes closing.
I thank you again for hosting us tonight. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak and to share some of who we are, because Diane and Jamie, yes, currently sit on the board. Wes and myself do not. But as you can hear, we're both very passionate. We're all very passionate about our schools, our students, our children. As I said earlier, I've worked with the back to school bash, but I've also worked, and Diane talked about working with exceptional children. I've done that for years. Y'all, children are my heart. That's where I live. And I think that that's important. And I'm a firm believer, if you don't agree with something, or if you have an issue, or you have anything against anywhere in politics, if you're not willing to put your name on the ballot, then you don't have the right to really get to say anything or put a dog in the fight. I'm willing to put a dog in the fight and say, I'm going to step up. I want to help. I want to see what I can do. And I want to make it a better place for our students and for our teachers and for all of the staff of Hatch County Schools. You know, we've talked a lot about the students of the school. We've talked a lot about what we can do for them. We've talked a lot about the teachers, but y'all, there's a support staff that we've not mentioned, that Janet did mention, but the cafeteria workers, the janitors, the bus drivers. It's much larger than we realize. And I think we have to be aware, and we have to let everyone know that, A, we're there. I want people to know I'm a safe place. I'm evolved. My wife will tell you she knows nothing, and she'll find out something. And I'm like, yes, dear, that's old news. But it has to be that way sometimes. And I want to be a safe place for all people involved in Ashe County Schools, not just the students, not just the teachers, but the entire staff, knowing that I'm going to stand up for them, advocate for them, and make a stronger school for our community and our county and our people.
Thank you. Ms. Ward?
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to have served in the board for the last 3 years. I have discovered and made a lot of new friends, and been very impressed with some of the things that I've seen on school visits and the way the board works and the way the county office works. There are things that can be improved, but mostly this is one of the best school systems I've ever worked with. And I've been in several states and worked with multiple different school systems. One of the things I've learned is that my broad experience in education in every avenue and aspect, including writing curriculum, National Teacher of the Year, you can see those things on a list, or you could go to WKSK.com, go to the Candidates Corner, and you'll find a 5-minute spiel that will tell you more about what I've done. But the experience has helped me a lot in all the various things that come before us in what we do as a board. This afternoon, we looked at changes in what's going to be needed in terms of funding and how they're going to use materials for the new middle school. We looked at the roof at the old middle school that desperately needs repair, and agreed to a contract for an engineer to design the solution. Finally, state helps us up on a lot of things. But there's a wide range of issues that come before us that are connected to every area of education that you can imagine. And I have seen how the things in my past have been helpful to me as I've worked on the board the last couple of years. I love kids, I love education, I love learning. And I have been very pleased with the people I've been working with on the board and how passionate they are, as well as hardworking. And Diane probably does more deep research in terms of contracts. We've got 83-page contract we had to read recently. So I appreciate the work that they do and the opportunity to continue to serve. I'm not a person that can sit and be retired and twiddle my thumbs. So this is connected to what I love.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Ms. Eldridge?
Well, I look back and I've been serving since 2018, and really and truly, I had a hard time deciding whether I wanted to do this year again or not. And then some very strong teachers called me up and they say, Ms. Eldridge, we need you to advocate for us. We need you to use your experience in the classroom to show folks exactly what we're up against and for our children. School has changed since I was in school, but I've kept up. It's much different. It's more of a pressure cooker kind of thing, and we're losing teachers rapidly because they do not feel supported all across the board, including the state of North Carolina, the last one in the nation with money. And it's not all about money, but it takes money to live. It's about not telling us everything we have to do. It's letting us make decisions as a teacher who is educated and who is experienced and has worked with our children. And it's about caring. Guys, if you can find anybody that cares more than I do, this job is a service job. What I make doing this doesn't pay the stomach medicine nor the headache medicine. And I speak truly on that. And I agonize over decisions because it involves people and it involves children. And so that's why I do the deep dive, is because I want to make sure that I'm making decisions that are the right decisions, that I feel are the right decisions. And yes, we disagree sometimes, but we all care about our kids. And I know you care about the kids in Ashe County too, and that's the only reason that I am seeking a re-election, is because I care about.
All right, you guys, straight to jail.
Ms. Eldridge, Mr. Albrecht, Mr. Little, Ms. Ward, thank you so much for being with us. Let's give a round of applause. I can have the sheriff candidates come up.
Are we done?
Just get started. Mr. Knox, Mr. Shepherd,
I'm gonna stick around. I'm just picking up my jacket so I don't forget it. I'll be back.
Come on in here, make me
You're not gonna give
All right, everyone, this will be our last group. Candidates for Ashe County Sheriff. We have 3 candidates. They are seated here in Ballot order. The names that's on the ballot: Earl Cox, Brandon Shepherd, B. Phil Howell. Let's go ahead and get started. You have opening remarks for 2 minutes. Start with Mr. Cox.
Thank everyone for being here and the opportunity to be able to be here to talk with people. My name's Earl Cox. I was born and raised here in Ashe County, attended Beaver Creek High School. Most of my law enforcement career was here in Ashe County. I left here and worked some bigger departments down in Mecklenburg County, Gaston County for a while. Also worked with the campus police as well as the other law enforcement, and I've done probation, parole, and other departments. And I've enjoyed my law enforcement career. It's all I've ever done has been in law enforcement. I've had ample amount of training throughout my years in law enforcement. And I've always been enjoyed serving for people, protecting people. And that's what I intend to do for Ashe County is be able to help them and enforce them and also protect them as well.
Thank you. Mr. Shepherd, 2 minutes, opening remarks.
Thank y'all for having us, and thank everybody for being here. I've been in law enforcement for about 14 years. It's my calling to serve people. I come from a long line of ministers, and everybody thought I was going to be a pastor, but I chose a different route. And this is how I give back to people, by serving my communities. I'm currently employed at Jefferson PD. I'm not a politician, and I have no desire to be a politician. I want to be here for the people that put me in office if I'm so elected. This county is everything to me. Born and raised right here. Got deep roots, deep in Ashe County. I love serving people, and this county's home. And I just want to be here and be available to the people. I'm so elected to be here for them, to help them no matter what. And, I just thank my wife and my kids. I've got 4 children, and I couldn't do this without them. And without the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Before we took on this adventure, I prayed hard. And usually if you pray, the Lord will either open the door or He'll shut it. And He opened this one. So I said, okay, Lord, I'm here. I'll do what you want. So that's why I'm here. Like I said, I care about the people here. I care about this county, and I want to see it do well. I want to see the people do well.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Mr. Howell?
Good evening, I'm Phil Howell, I'm the current sheriff. If I was running for commissioner tonight, I would ask for y'all's vote to fix the AC here at the courthouse. Everybody online, if y'all know, we're all suffering, but I will tell you that since I've been sheriff, I've never asked for anybody's vote. I've always said you should all vote for who the candidate that you think is going to do best, including these gentlemen here. And that should be how it is, and that should how it always be. So I do appreciate everybody coming tonight. I'm born and raised in Laurel Springs by my mother and father, and grew up going to West Jefferson and Beaver Creek, the high school, went to NC State University, where graduated with Fisheries and Wildlife, and then I went to basic law enforcement training where I met my wife, who was an SBI agent at the time. And I've got a little one for everybody knows that keeps standing and giving me thumbs up, and she's took her shoes off, she's barefoot now. So running around, she's passing out notes. No, I'm not. So anyway, you find out very quickly that the joy of my life is my family. If I'm not at the office or I'm not in the community, I'm with them. We're all in the same car together going places. sports and whatnot, and that's just what we do as our family, and that's where we stand. Moved to the sheriff's office after 5 years with the state in 2010, and became an undercover narcotics officer before I went into 911 dispatch in 2015. And then in 2018, elected as sheriff, and I've been there for the last 7 to 8 years. And very proud to be your sheriff. I enjoy the job. I enjoy the back and forth with the family and the nonstop madness that my life entails as your sheriff and being a servant for everybody. The other thing I want everybody to know is we come back to Ashton 2010. We were members at Bethany United Methodist for 12 years before joining Appalachian Church. And that is important to me because faith and family is the biggest thing that we have back here on my row of women and ladies back there. I got a whole hairstyle and hair color all the way across.
Thank you. All right, we'll have 2 questions for the moderator, then we've got 1 from the audience. So the first question will go to Mr. Shepherd. What is the biggest problem faced by Ashe County that law enforcement is addressing or should address?
That's a good question. To me, the biggest problem facing Ashe County is our drug problem. We're doing a lot. The county's doing a lot to try to cut down on that, but I think we can do more. We got a cycle here in the county. Kids see parents do it, they live it, and I'd like to try to get a program in the schools for our SROs. We've got them in the schools. Our SROs are there. I was an SRO for a long time. I worked in Watauga County for 4 years and I was a dare instructor. And I seen what good come of having a program in the schools where the law enforcement are teaching. We got to try to break that drug cycle. We got to try to help our kids and try to prevent it if we can. Not really pushing dare, but if we come up with some kind of program, whether it's on our own, there's other programs out there that can be taught in our school system with the kids. There's programs out there that goes from kindergarten all the way to seniors. I would like to see the sheriff's office, if I'm elected, to see that put in place, working with the school system, and try to break that cycle. Try to educate the kids on the dangers and things of that nature. Also like to, help the people that are addicted on drugs. Set up some type of program to be monitored or to be utilized while they're incarcerated in the jail. Help put them in place, working with local churches or rehabilitation centers, something of that nature, to try to get these people help, to try to break that cycle.
Thank you, Mr. Howell?
I'm going to try to keep this under 2 minutes. From my experience as an undercover narcotics officer in 2010 to 2014, you can take off drugs, you can travel to other states and take off drugs and try to take care of them, and we just have more coming in. Once you put them in jail, they'll go away and some of them will come back. So we do address that. Every officer has Narcan in their car, and I'm sure you all do too. It's pretty standard these days, and we bring a lot of people back to life who have overdosed. 2 things that we are currently doing at the sheriff's office. One is a big one. Hopefully I don't step on my toes for the next question or whatever. But we haven't announced that we have a new IMAP program. That's an inmate medicated program. It's a treatment program for alcohol and opioid abuse. And that started in November. It's something we've been working on with commissioners for 4 years now. We finally got the money a year and a half ago, and it began in November. The shots begin in November, where an inmate chooses, if they've got that addiction, they actually choose what they want to. They want to participate in the program. They go through a huge medical part of it, and then they turn around and they get a shot every month for 6 months, and that suppresses and blocks the euphoric feeling that they get when they are doing alcohol abuse and opiates, so any opiates. So that's one thing. The other program is our LEAD program. We just purchased everything a month ago, I believe. We purchased a month ago the sheriff's office and its lead as the law enforcement officers against drugs to implement with the schools. We've been not cooperating, it's a terrible word to use, isn't it? We've been collaborating with the school system for the last 2 years with the lesson plans, with the focus being on the middle school kids, typically from 5th to 8th grade. Those curriculums and lesson plans have been purchased, and hopefully we implement those soon. If it may be in the middle of the semester, we had Hurricane Helene, we had COVID before, that kind of put a hiccup in that. So we have several things going forward to come back down.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Mr. Cox, what is the biggest problem faced by Ashe County that law enforcement is addressing or should address?
I think thing like all the other candidates here is our drugs in our county. You know, I think we need to implement more school resource officers in the schools and help with the drug problem in the schools, as far as maybe some kind of programs that would help these kids learn about these drugs. And another thing, I guess I'm kind of the old school, you know, been in law enforcement 25 plus years. I think you get out here and you patrol and you make vehicle stops and you stop these vehicles that's got these drugs in them. You seize these vehicles and you charge these people. Sooner or later, the word gets out, as you come to Ashe County, you're going to get stopped and you're going to find your drugs and you're going to be put in jail. So that's one thing I think, so it would be a good thing for this county to have implement was a lot of patrolling, as well as school resource officers getting these drugs out of these schools, you know, because I think that's a big problem in the schools is drugs. And, you know, you got your K-9s, get them to work, put them to work in these schools, find these drugs in these schools. And that's something I will implement every day is, I always say, patrol, and you can make stop this problem, at least slow it down. And that's something I've always believed in, and I think it's a working thing that we need to address more. But we do want to take care of, protect our kids the best we can from these narcotics that's out here.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. All right. The second question, we'll start with Mr. Howell. Mental health is and is becoming a huge issue in our county. What is law enforcement doing or should do?
Mental health is one of the most hopeless things that we deal with in law enforcement. As a sheriff and part of the Sheriff's Association, we are combating on a state level, trying to get more mental health spots in Raleigh. Something we do at the Sheriff's Office is we do enter inmates into, there's two things. The Sheriff's Office does, since we have the jail, we actually implement and send people to safekeeping in Raleigh. So if we have a major issue that we cannot help them with mental health or physical health, it could be any of those areas, those inmates are found a place for a bed in Raleigh, and we actually take them to Raleigh for safekeeping during that time, and it could be either or. The other part of it is in collaboration with the hospitals, Daymark, and any facility. Something that people don't realize is our sheriff's office deals with all these people all across the county, and we try to help them out as much as we can. And helping them out is trying to get them to Daymark recovery services, or get a family member to do an involuntary commitment on them, or convince them to go to the hospital and do a voluntary commitment on them and get them some help, whatever that may be. A lot of people call the sheriff's office and they say, "Hey, we've got a son, father, whatever that we need help with." And I had one personally 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were able to get them help. We were able to get the deputies out there to actually transport them. It was during the ice; Daymark couldn't reach them, and so we tend to go above and beyond in those situations, just like COVID, just like we all did. We went above and beyond to go to these people, get them to the hospital or Daymark or any other facility. And that's where our deputies come in, and they travel the whole state taking these people to mental institutions to get them help. And then we go back and pick them up whenever they're done.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. All right. Mr. Cox. Mental health is and is becoming a huge issue in our county. What is law enforcement doing or should do?
Mental health has always been a bad thing for this county. When I worked in it years ago, during all my training, it seems like there's always somebody, you know, that had a mental problem. But that's something that is hard to address. You know, you do your best you can. You get them in these programs and try to get them some help. you know, as far as with Mark, like I said, with other places, if you try to get to these people and maybe get the family to try to convince them so they don't harm themselves, or maybe, you know, you have to involve their commitment, you have to go pick these up, you know, this put the officer at risk that you may have to physically hurt this person, or sometimes, you know, you might even get you killed. So it's a bad situation either way. The whole book around, it's a bad situation, the mental health department. And I worked hard to try to get a hold of this so we could do some kind of different programs, implement stuff that we could try to help these people and get them some help, you know, because nobody wants to see no one get hurt. And you want to try to give everybody every opportunity you can to try to help give them some help to save their life as well as young.
Thank you, Mr. Combs. Mr. Shepherd, mental health is becoming a huge issue in our county. What is law enforcement doing or should do?
Well, like these guys have said, we deal with it on a daily basis. And the problem is bigger than Ashe County. There's not enough facilities in the state to hold people. There's not enough beds. We do what we do. We take them and get them to the hospital to be evaluated. They see a psychiatrist on telepsych. They talk to them, and that person may be in Arizona, Texas, wherever, over a computer. And they decide whether or not they're committable or not. And it all comes down to like one word, you know. And if they're committable and they decide and they commit them, there's just not enough beds. There's not enough mental facilities to house these people. So what usually happens is they set up at the hospital and wait on a bed for a while until somebody says, okay, they've been here 2 weeks. What do we do with them? And most of the time that paperwork gets returned. There's just not enough beds. So it's a bigger problem than just Ashe County, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. All right, we have a question from the audience. This question will start with Mr. Cox.
Do you support federal law concerning ICE, and will you support local?
Mr. Cox.
Yes, ICE, when you know what they are federal officers. And they would request, if I was the sheriff of Ashe County, they would request my assistance. I would work with them any way I could to endure the situation that's going on, to help whatever I could, you know, to help. You know, we don't want to see nobody get hurt. We don't want nobody to get out here and get hurt or hurt someone. So I think it would be I would work with them any way I could because they are a law enforcement officer. And therefore, I would work with a law enforcement officer that requested my assistance.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Mr. Shepherd, same question.
Do I support ICE? ICE is a federal law enforcement agency. I do support ICE, but I don't support going over and just picking up anybody. I work beside people, Hispanic people. There's a lot of good people. Hispanic community. They're just trying to do the right thing. They're supporting their family. We deal with them every day. If they break the law, nobody's above the law. If they've created or committed a crime, sure. Let's take the proper procedures and put them in jail. And if it's deportation, that's what it is. But I'm not for just going out here and rounding up all of them.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Mr. Howell.
So currently in Ashe County, from 2010 to 2015, I worked with Homeland Security the entire time. We worked many cases across Tennessee, Georgia, Virginia, and North Carolina together with those Homeland Security people. Same people that you're seeing out there today. them and Border Patrol have two of the hardest jobs in America, and it is very difficult. Something that I want to tell everybody, since everybody's viewing online, in 2018, when I come into office, we have always, even if the administration for the president has not supported it, we have always supported that. But we supported it to jail when they walk into jail. That's what happens. So how it works is somebody gets arrested because they've got criminal charges out in the community. They've been drunk and disruptive. They've been selling narcotics. They bring into the jail. When we book them in is when we find out that they are illegal. And that is when the Homeland Security is notified. That is when they come and pick them up. We don't go out there and we're not looking for people. We've got our own problems in Ashland County that we need, but we are dealing with the criminals. We do put them in jail, and they do get notified when we actually arrest that person that is undocumented. And then they come and pick them up within 2 or 3 days, and then they take them to Atlanta. Something a lot of people don't know is talking about the mental health and traveling across the state. I got 4 guys on a shift, 5 guys on a shift. Well, when they start doing transports all across the state to Raleigh or Jacksonville or even to Avery or Charlotte, and they're taking these mental health people, we got to do the same thing for those illegals that they picked up. So if they've got court in Ashland County, we got to go to Atlanta and come back and get them. And that's just the cold hard truth. And now I've got deputies kind of spread out through the state. And that's how we do it. We are looking for crime. We are out there answering calls. And if those people enter our jail, they get notified. And that's been that way since 2018. Even when we marked them in 2018, just because they didn't come and get them, if you know what I mean, that changed with the last administration. They come and get them and take them to Atlanta now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. All right, it's time for closing remarks, up to 2 minutes. We started here with Mr. Cox, so we'll start with Mr. Shepherd. 2 minutes closing.
Again, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. This has been great. Appreciate this. Again, I'll say it again, I'm no politician. I don't desire to be a politician. I want to be here for the county. I want to be here, I want to be available, I want to be a boots on the ground sheriff. I'm willing to run calls. If we don't have supervision, I'm willing to step up and work a night shift. To have a supervisor on the shift. I'm wanting to implement a 2-man rotation, lieutenant rotation, not just office lieutenant. They're going to be on the road during the busiest hours. That puts another supervisor on the road and puts another man on the road. And that way, if you get a call in Creston, you've got a supervisor there, you've got another supervisor that can look out towards Glendale, Fleetwood, or the rest of the county. I've got a lot of things I want to implement. I've been in law enforcement, worked every day in it for 14 years. Pulled a lot of roles: SRO, courthouse security, working patrol. I've been a sergeant, field training officer certified. I've got a lot of certifications. This is what I do, and I love doing it. I love helping people. Sometimes our job's dirty. Sometimes we get our hands dirty. But that's the nature of the beast. But I try to help everybody I come in contact with. And, everybody that I arrest, I tell them I'll pray for them. And I've helped do that. I've had a lot of people come to me after they get out of jail and be like, man, thank you. Thank you for treating me with respect. That's what it boils down to. You got to treat people with respect, no matter what they do. Everybody makes mistakes. There's not anybody in here that hasn't made a mistake in their life. And I just hope that everybody will support me on March 3rd. Appreciate it. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my Chief Deputy Andrew back there. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Mr. Howell, 2 minute closing.
All right. As a 20-year veteran of law enforcement and your sheriff, I wanted to point something out that we didn't get a question on. I wanted to point out all of our community events and our training. So This side is our training and everything that's internal, and this is just for 1 year in 2024. This is what we do. This is all of our community stuff, and I have a great staff. I feel like I have the best staff that the sheriff's office has ever had. Every sheriff should feel the same way. I truly believe that. I've got a group of 11 people in the office. That's my community team, and they make all this happen. And I know my staff's looking, and we do so much. And I can sit here and show you all the projects that I've got. But something I want to say is go visit the website, sheriffbillhowe.com, or go to Vote Ash, and you can see all of this stuff. I've got everything listed there, so you can take a look at it. We talked about narcotics a minute ago, and a big shout out to my narcotics department. Who else in Ashe County history has ever got 14 kilos of meth off the street? And we haven't put those numbers out. We haven't put those numbers out from, because we still have another wave to go, and that wave's not going to be done until March or April. But 14 kilos of methamphetamine in about 9 months, and that's pretty impressive. So we haven't released any numbers, any of that stuff, and it's just unbelievable. So we've got our community crime map up that went up last August. We kind of announced it a couple of weeks ago. We needed 6 months to make sure everything's working. Check it out. It's all over the sheriff's website, ashsheriff.com, as well as mine. And the events, when you leave today, I'm going to hang out and answer any questions. I've got a table out here with early voting stuff, your regular voting stuff, so grab your packet, the community crime map, the events that are listed on the website are my projects that I've done for the sheriff's office, and some that I want to do. We have 4 or 5 lined up in the next 4 years to do. And then, of course, you got a sample ballot back there. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for doing this. Really appreciate everybody. And I obviously can't thank my family enough for being here tonight. And the little one that's in the corner, I'm not sure what she's doing right now. But thank you all for coming. And we're excited about getting our milkshake. So
Thank you, Mr. Howell.
thank you.
Mr. Cox, you in closing?
Thank y'all. I want to thank you for having an opportunity to be here, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. If I'm elected as your sheriff, I will be my door will always be open to the people, and I will be a sheriff that you will see me out in the community riding around. I will be getting out talking to people and seeing what your concerns is, something I can address for you, and if you have trouble with any officer, you can come in. We will take that officer inside my office, and we will sit down with you, whoever you are, and we will find out what the problem is that you have had with this officer. That is something I'm going to implement. And another thing is training. I'm going to do lots of training. I'm going to have training once a month with the sheriff's office. And I will work community college. If the college is not certain things, I will introduce my own training once a month. And it's something that I think is good, and a lot of these schools, all these officers went through school, they had traffic stops and stuff like this, and you've been in it a while, you tend to forget this. So that's something else. I'm gonna bring you all this stuff back where you went through your BLAT school. I'm gonna bring you some of these little programs back where you'll have a 4-hour block of that training, and it's be kind of a refresher for you, because that's one thing makes an officer a good officer is training. You gotta have training. And another thing, every officer in my department will be held accountable for their actions. That's something that I've always, in my law enforcement career, that's something that every department I've ever worked at is accountability. And that's something I'm going to. And another thing, our schools, we got to get more resource officers in these schools to protect our children. And that's something that I want to do. And I thank y'all for the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate your vote on March 3rd. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox, Mr. Shepherd, Mr. Howell, thank you very much for being with us tonight and participating. Let's give them a round of applause. Speaking on behalf of the Ashe County Republican Party, I thank you very much for attending. And we have a word now from our treasurer, Ms. Ward.
The questions that we took up, we only had time for one. Todd McNeil has graciously offered, we're going to do an interview with him and some of the other candidates. So if you'll keep a look out on the Irish Republican Party webpage, Facebook, you'll see the recorded interviews with some of the questions were directed to certain Board of Education members, some of them to certain sheriffs, and we're gonna go and interview them personally.
Again, thank you for being with us. We made every opportunity to try to reach every candidate and be here and participate. I'm thrilled with the participation from all three of our groups. Thank you and have a blessed day.
I know, she was so excited.
I guess you heard that.
She's about good. Like,
Yeah, I know, she's
trying to
hit that threshold, isn't she? Okay, sounds good.